Thank you for joining my lecture. Today, I talk about unreasonable anti-Japanese history in South Korea. There are four main reasons why South Korea has anti-Japanese policies. Firstly, Korea tended to call itself Little China and look down on Japan as uncivilized area. This can be seen in the records of the Korean delegation to Japan and the diary of the British traveler Isabella Bard. Secondly, Japan's 35 years of rule hurt their national pride. Thirdly, they reject the previous regime in order to justify their own power, since Goryeo, the previous dynasty, believed in Buddhism. Confucianism became the state religion of the next Joseon dynasty, and thoroughly destroyed Buddhist temples and Buddha statues. Similarly, North Korea's excessive anti-US and anti-Japanese rhetoric is aimed at appealing to its own people for the legitimacy of its power and directing its people's dissatisfaction outward. In South Korea, every time there is a change of government, former presidents are often arrested, imprisoned, or driven to suicide, and incumbent president was also arrested. Lastly, I will explain another reason why South Korea takes anti-Japanese policies. Syngman Lee, who became the first president of South Korea, the first country in Asia after independence from Japan, implemented intense anti-Japanese education in order to prevent the people of South Korea from nostalgic for the era of Japan rule of Korea and to appeal to the legitimacy of its own government. He also annexed Takeshima Island by force and shot or imprisoned Japanese fishermen who were fishing around Takeshima Island. President Kim Jong-sam has always taken an aggressive anti-Japanese stance, and in a historical reconstruction project held to commemorate the 50th anniversary of Liberation Day, Korea's Independence Day, he dismantled the former Korean Governor General's office. In addition, the connection between politics and fancy is historically strong in South Korea. During Japan rule of Korea, Korea claimed that Japan drove iron stakes into key points of fancy in order to cut off the spirit of the Korean land and the people, and the movement to remove iron stakes was actively promoted throughout Korea. Japanese imperial fancy conspiracy theory. However, Japanese people are not interested in fancy in the first place, and it is said that they were iron pirates when Japan conducted triangulation. During President Roh Moo-hyun, he enacted a special law on the attribution of property of pro-Japanese and anti-national actors to the state, and confiscated the property of pro-Japanese anti-national actors and their descendants to belong to the state. However, this is a retroactive punishment and an infringement of property rights, which are contrary to the principles of modern law. In addition, in South Korean society, which has strong blood ties, joint punishment is also carried out for relatives. The President Lee Myung-bak would not seek an apology or remorse from Japan. Even before his inauguration in 2008, at the time of his visit to Japan in April 2008, he requested a visit to Korea by Japan's emperor and empress. However, on August 10, 2012, he became the first South Korean president to land on Takeshima Island. On August 14th, he said, "If Japan's emperor only brings words that we do not understand, such as sorrow, he does not need to come. And if he wants to come to South Korea, he should go around the independence activists, kneel down, and apologize." In 2014, the Japan's government applied for the registration of Kyushu and Yamaguchi, the site of the Industrial Revolution of the Meiji Japan and related areas, as World Heritage Sites. But South Korea's government opposed the legislation on the grounds that many Koreans who are conscripted during the Pacific War were sacrificed. The Asahi Shimbun newspaper reported that Yoshida Seiji testified that he forcibly took women to be comfort women on Jeju Island, South Korea. The testimony was later determined to be false, and the Asahi Shimbun newspaper corrected the article and apologized. However, in South Korea, this report spread, and because it was reported with malicious intent by confusing comfort women with women's volunteer corps, unmarried women over the age of 14 who worked in factories during the Pacific War, many Koreans mistakenly believe that the female students were also forcibly taken away and made into comfort women. Since 1992, the Korean Council for Justice and Remembrance has held rallies every Wednesday in front of the Japan's embassy to demand an apology and compensation for former comfort women of the Japan's government. They are also collecting donations from students. In 1995, during the Murayama Tovich cabinet, the Asian Women's Fund was established to compensate former comfort women. However, in South Korea, the Korean Council for Justice and Remembrance, which did not want to lose their own existence, protested against it and pressured former comfort women not to accept money. Japan-South Korea agreement on the comfort women issue in 2015. The Japan's government contributed 1 billion yen to South Korean former comfort women support organizations, and the final and irreversible resolution of this issue was confirmed by the governments of Japan and the Republic of Korea. During her tenure, President Park Geun-hye urged all over more than 20 countries she traveled to jointly condemn and declare condemnation of Japan. However, her attempt failed. She was impeached and removed from office as president for providing classified documents to a civilian named Chon Soon-sil and receiving instructions Park Geun-hye Chon Soon-sil Gate. Moon Jae-in, who became president of South Korea in 2017, unilaterally abrogated the agreement on the comfort women issue, which was finally and irreversibly resolved by the governments of Japan and the Republic of Korea, and established August 14th as a day to honor the victims of Japan's military comfort women, which is unprecedented in the world. The testimony of Lee Yong-soo, an icon of former comfort women, is constantly changing and inconsistent. In addition, her testimony does not coincide with historical facts and years. Yoon Mi-hyun, the former representative of a comfort women support group, revealed on her SNS that Lee Yong-soo was not a comfort woman, and it was also discovered that she had misappropriated the money of the comfort women support group, collected through fundraising and other means for personal use. In addition, most of the women who claimed to be former comfort women had been sold by their parents or deceived by traders, and few claimed to have been forcibly taken away. The testimony of women who claimed that they were forcibly taken has also often changed and does not correspond to the historical facts. In addition, no one witnessed the forcible deportation. Conservative groups have also emerged in South Korea claiming that comfort women are an international fraud. How many of them were really comfort women of the Japan's military who were forcibly taken? In the minutes of the negotiations on the Japan-South Korea claim settlement agreement concluded in 1965, when the representative of Japan asked whether South Korea wanted the compensation of workers from the Korean peninsula to be paid to individuals. The representative of South Korea replied, "We will receive it as a nation and pay it domestically to the extent necessary as a domestic measure." In 2018, South Korea's Supreme Court ruled that the Nippon Steel Corporation awarded compensation of about 10 million yen per person to four former forced laborers. To be precise, workers from the Korean peninsula who voluntarily applied, took the test, and were hired, who are seeking compensation and unpaid wages for forced deportation and forced labor. Since the ruling, South Korea's government agencies and aid organizations have been inundated with calls from people who want to file a lawsuit. In South Korean history textbooks, this photograph was taught to students as our people mobilized for forced labor. Based on this photograph, a statue of a requisitioned worker was also made, and the issue was widely advertised. In reality, however, the Asahika Shimbun newspaper published a case of abuse and death at the road construction site in Hokkaido in September 1926, and the people in the photograph were not Koreans, but Japanese. In South Korea, the rising sun flag is a war criminal flag, and the national consciousness that it is justice to delete designs reminiscent of the rising sun flag has taken root. And in 2019, the National Assembly of South Korea passed a resolution prohibiting the bringing of the rising sun flag into the stadium at the Tokyo Olympic and the Paralympic Games. It all started on January 25, 2011, when Kim Song-yeon, who scored the penalty kick in the semi-finals of the AFC Asian Cup soccer match against Japan, imitated a monkey as if to insult Japanese. When this became a problem, he made an excuse that he was angry with the rising sun flag in the audience. Until then, the rising sun flag had never been a problem. Japan refused to participate in the 2018 Jazz International Fleet Review ceremony, which asked the Maritime Self-Defense Force to refrain from flying the rising sun flag. Burger King was accused of wrapping paper reminiscent of the rising sun flag. South Korea protested to the International Olympic Committee and the organizing committee, saying that the medals at the Tokyo Paralympics were reminiscent of the rising sun flag. In 2018, in the Sea of Japan off the coast of the Noto Peninsula, South Korea's Navy destroyer Kwangdo-daewon irradiated a Maritime Self-Defense Force P-1 patrol aircraft with a fire control radar intended to attack ROK Navy radar irradiation problem. The South Korean side insisted that it was using a search radar and not a fire control radar, and demanded an apology for Japan's threatening flight. Japan released video evidence of being irradiated by fire control radar. The video released by the South Korean side as a countermeasure was a video taken by the Maritime Self-Defense Force that was used without permission, processed, and added background music. The South Korean side rejected Japan's proposal to discuss the evidence with the South Korean side. In 2019, in response to Japan's stricter export measure to South Korea, a boycott of Japanese products such as No Japan, and boycott Japan occurred. However, many South Koreans are beginning to realize that the demonstrations are instigated by the left. When the Japan's government decided to release treated water from TEPCO, Tokyo Electric Power Company Holdings incorporated Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant into the sea with the approval of the IAEA, International Atomic Energy Agency. The South Korean government said that there is no scientific or technical problem. But the main opposition party, the Democratic Party of Korea, held a rally in front of the Japan's embassy in Seoul to demand a retraction. The United States, Canada, and European countries where treated water reaches faster than South Korea do not oppose Japan's release of treated water. Only South Korea and China opposed. Another reason behind South Korea's anti-Japanese sentiment is South Korean media's deliberately biased reporting and South Korean people that are easy to be incited. This situation is no different from that of the Joseon dynasty at the end of the 19th century, which led to exile of the country. What kind of anti-Japanese items will South Korea create next? However, the reality is, in an era where ordinary South Korean people could not easily come to Japan as in the past, and there was no internet, the anti-Japanese ideology of a cruel and barbaric Japan was effective. However, many ordinary South Korean people now come to Japan and they see the clean and beautiful cityscape, Japanese who maintain public order, and Japanese who treat them kindly and tenderly, and they are posting on social media. Many South Korean people feel that Japan and Japanese are different from what they were taught in schools or seen on TV or in newspapers. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to my channel to maintain these education activities. I'm looking forward to seeing you again.